now is Chairman Chuck Grassley. He sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and of course he was the chair of that committee during previous nominations for Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, now justices, and he joins us now. Senator Grassley, thank you. It's always good to have you with us on the program. I'd like to start, if I may, because we saw Senator Durbin suggesting that she might be privy to some plan to change the Obamacare, ACA as it is known, and here she is expressing her complete independence as a judge. Watch.
I hope that you aren't suggesting that I don't have my own mind, or that I couldn't think independently, or that I would just decide, like, oh, let me see what Justice Scalia has said about this in the past, because I assure you I have my own mind. But everything that he said is not necessarily what I would agree with or what I would do if I were Justice Barrett. That was Justice Scalia.
So I think the Justice Kavanaugh hearings scarred a lot of people's memories, and you were right in the center of that. It was really raucous from the very beginning. Everybody remembers Kamala Harris jumped in, I think, within seconds of you gaveling down to start opposing even the proceedings going forward. How do you feel about how this process has reflected on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator?
Well, for everybody on the committee, the fact that it was more peaceful than Kavanaugh, I think it's going to really satisfy people from that standpoint. I think from the standpoint of people not being able to find, particularly Democrats on the committee, not being able to find any fault wrong with their qualification because they're impeccable. They tried to make pretty much a political campaign out of this, reflecting things that they think will help them between now and November the 3rd. But overall, I think that this is much better a public image of this committee and this process than Kavanaugh was, and without a doubt. There's a difference between night and day.
So, as we all remember, when you look back, the beginning of the Kavanaugh process was very smooth, and the overall impression was that he was going to be approved without any major speed bumps. And the speed bumps came after the part that we all just finished in this process. Do you have any indication, because the vote isn't until the end of the month, that Democrats are sitting on any information, that they have anything up their sleeve, or do you think it goes smoothly this time, all the way through?
I can't really answer your question except for referring back to what Senator Schumer said over the weekend, that they might not even show up to make a quorum on the day that we vote on this. And if he would go through with that, then things would be different. But you're absolutely right. Everything up until about the first week of September on Kavanaugh was very peaceful. And then just as soon as they couldn't lay a hand on him, they came up with all the things with Dr. Ford, et cetera, et cetera. And we haven't seen any of that this time, but we aren't going to know until tomorrow.
Do you anticipate that politically they would assess that not producing enough senators for the quorum in the full Senate vote would be advantageous to them?
I think everybody goes to work with their job. We get paid about $175,000 a year. They expect us to work. I've got the best record of any senator in the 240 years history of our country of not missing a vote. I'm going to be there. I think every senator should be there. I think the taxpayers expect them to be there. But for reasons that they might think that they would at least satisfy their very progressive base, which, if you look at their Twitter, some of that progressive base isn't very happy with the way Feinstein and other people on the Senate handled this. In other words, they weren't tough enough. You don't know what they might do to satisfy their progressive base.
Well, in fact, Dianne Feinstein really complimented her on her explanation of severability. She said, wow, that was pretty great. It was a very honest, I think, answer in the moment. This is Kamala Harris, who was, I believe, just down the hall in her office. And after I play this, I'd like to, hear about why you believe she was there instead of on the floor, which was basically empty by that point. Here she is.
I just want to understand, are you saying that you refuse to dispute a known fact, or that you refuse to agree with a known fact?
Senator, I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at with asking me to endorse the fact or whether any particular practice constitutes voter discrimination. I'm very happy to say that I think racial discrimination still exists in the United States, and I think we've seen evidence of that this summer.
What was your thought on that exchange, sir?
Well, first of all, I think she would have looked better if she had been in the committee room with us. Secondly, the reason she wasn't there, I'm told, is because of protection from the virus, which is legitimate. But I also heard that some people saw her getting in the elevator with a massive number of people. So I don't know whether the distancing was a very important factor or there was some other reason she wasn't there.
Interesting. All right. Speaking of Twitter, this story that came out, the New York Post reported that they got their hands on emails between Hunter Biden and a Ukrainian businessman that don't look very good. The first one that came out was from April 17th, 2015, and it says, "Dear Hunter," and this is from Vadim Pozharovsky, an advisor to Burisma. He says, "Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and a pleasure." And then a previous email that sets this up is back in May of 2014, asking Hunter for, quote, advice on how you could use your influence on our company's behalf. Now, Twitter restricted this story. They shut down the story in some way, shape, or form, and even people's accounts who were tweeting this story got a block on them. And now Senate Republicans have put out a response to Jack Dorsey of Twitter, and there's a look at that, showing the block of this story on Twitter and saying, "See you soon, Jack," referring to the chairman and founder of Twitter. What do you think about all that, sir?
Well, this censorship by these platforms is a bigger thing, but this is a perfect example of where there's some evidence of things that I and my investigation and Johnson's investigation has been suspicious of for a long time, and it kind of backs up our suspicion. All I personally know about it is what I read in the Post, but it does give some credence to things we've believed for a long time. Like we know, for instance, money from the mayor's wife of Moscow paying some millions of dollars to some firm connected with Hunter Biden. I don't want to say for sure that we've got absolute proof that this is going on, but it sure goes down the same direction that we had been suspicious of for a long period of time. Well, I have not received this material. Senator Johnson has received it, and I'm going to wait until Senator Johnson get some review of it.
All right, fair enough. We will speak, I believe we're going to speak to Rudy Giuliani tomorrow about this. And yeah, we will be speaking with him tomorrow night, and we'll reach out to Senator Johnson as well to get the facts. And we do hope that there will be questions asked about it. Obviously, at this town hall tomorrow night would be the first opportunity to ask the former vice president about it. So, Senator Grassley, thank you very much, sir. Always good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.